Welcome to my video on relations. So a relation is any set of ordered pairs for each first member. There may be many second members. So the domain, another word we have here is domain, which is the set of all first coordinates, or in other words, whatever the x values are in a relation or function. And we're going to talk about function more in our next unit. So the range is the set of all second coordinates. So this is your y values in a relation or function. So the first coordinate or the x value is the domain, and the second coordinate or the y value is the range. So it's just another way of describing an x and a y value in a relation or a function. So here are the different ways that we can represent the relations. We have a table, an XY table. We've seen this before. You may have known it as an input-output table. Then, of course, we can write them as ordered pairs. So remember, the first number is the x, the second number is the y, and then we put them in parentheses. And going back to our new words, the 2 would be the domain, and the 4 would be the range value. Okay, and then we have a newer one here that you probably haven't seen before is mapping, and I'll show you more in just a second down here. And then, of course, graph, which you're familiar with. Okay, so here what we're going to do is we're going to state the domain and range and complete each representation. Note that the domain and range is typically written in order from least to greatest. If there are duplicate ranges or domains, then they are only written one time. So our table here, we have -1, 0, 0, 8, 5, 8, 9, -4, and 10, -10. So what we could do is we could immediately write the domain and range for these because domain are my x values and range are my y values. And they're written in order from least to greatest, and you can see the x's are already in order here from least to greatest. So we're going to write -1, 0, 5, 9, and 10. And then our y values are arranged, so we're going to write those in order from least to greatest. So we have -10, -4, 0, and then 8 repeats twice here, so we're only going to write it one time. Okay, now we're going to take each x and y value and write an ordered pair. So we put them together like this, -1, 0, and then 0, 8, 5, 8, 9, -4, and 10, -10. So all I did to write the ordered pair is just put my x and y value together. Now here's how mapping works. So you take your x value or your domain and you just write them down in the order that you see them. You can write them in order from least to greatest, but they're not always in order from least to greatest when you're doing a mapping. And then what we can do is write all of our y values. And what I can do here is just look down here and we have 0, 8. Now I'm only going to write it once and you'll see what happens. And then -4, and then of course -10. So what happens in a mapping is I draw an arrow from each x to its corresponding y value, meaning the one that it goes with. So -1 goes with 0. 0 goes with 8. Now watch what happens here. 5 also goes with 8, so there's 2 arrows going to 8. And then 9 goes with -4, and 10 goes with -10. So this is just a different way of representing an ordered pair or a table. Now the graphing, remember there are not any numbers on here. So we always start at the origin. And remember, negatives are left, positives are right, Positives are up and negatives are down. So I'm going to graph this as -1, 0 right here, right on the x-axis. Okay, and then our next one, we have 0. So I'm not going to move off the x-axis, and I'm going to go up 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is a point at 0, 8. And now I'm going to go 5, 8. So go back to the origin and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the x-axis, and then up to 8. And I don't have to count because I just went up 8 on the last point, so I know they're going to be even. Let me make sure I did that right. 3, 4, 5. Yes, I did. Okay. And then 9, -4. Well, I already went out over to 5 here, so I can start there and go 6, 7, 8, 9. And now I'm going to have to go -4, so down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, right there. And then, of course, 10, -10. Well, if I know this is 9, then I know this has got to be 10. And I'm going to tell you this goes down all the way to 10. So this is 10, -10 right here. Okay. So that completes question number 1. Now let's look at a couple more examples where we're not going to start with a table. So now we have a mapping here. And what we can do is write the ordered pairs first, or we can put it in a table. It really doesn't matter. I'm just going to go ahead and put it in a table first. So we have 0, -4. And we can actually write the ordered pairs as we go. 0, -4. And then we have 3 is going to 7. So we're going to write 3, 7, and then we can write the ordered pair. And then we have -1, 4. And then we're going to write that here as an ordered pair. And then we have 8, 7. And we're going to write that here. And then finally we have 1/2, -3. And we're going to write that here. Okay, now the only other one to do here is to graph it. So now, once again, we start at the origin, which is right here, where the x and y axis meet in the middle. And now we're going to graph 0, -4 first. So I'm not going to move on the x-axis, and I'm going to go down to -4 right here. And then I'm going to find 3, 7 by going to the origin and going 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to go up to 7. 1, 2, 7. And now I'm going to look for -1, 4. So go back to the origin, left 1, and up to 4. And then 8, 7, go back to the origin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we're going to go up to 7 again. So we know it's going to be even, even with that one over there because we already went up 7. And then we're going to go 1/2, -3. So we're going to go right between 0 and 1. And then down to -3. Okay, now we got to write the domain and range. So we can look at any one of these representations to find the domain and range, but remember we need to order them from least to greatest. So I'm going to look for negatives first. So I see only one negative, so -1 in the x value. And then I see 0. And then I see 1/2. And then I see 3. And then 8. So none of them repeated. So I didn't have to worry about only writing one of them once. They all appear once. Okay, now look at the y's. There is something repeating here. Let's start least to greatest. We have -4 first, and then we have the -3. and then we have a 4, and then the 7 repeats. So we're only going to write it one time. Okay, let's look at one last final example. And this time we start with a graph. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to write the ordered pairs first. And when I write the ordered pairs, typically you start from left to right because then your x's will be in order from least to greatest, which doesn't necessarily have to happen. That's just typically the way people will do it. Okay, so now we're going to find this ordered pair right here. So we're going to start the origin and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, -9, and up 1, 2, 3. So this is the ordered pair -9, 3. And we can go ahead and fill that into the table -9, 3. Okay, now this one is almost all the way to -9, but it's 1 before it, so we know that this is going to be -8. And then we got to count up, and so we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is -8, 10. And then this one, I know it's very difficult to see. It's supposed to be 1, 0. So over 1, up 0. It was very difficult to create, but that's what it's supposed to be. So 1, 0. And we forgot to put -8, 10 over here. And now we'll do 1, 0. Now we're all caught up there. Okay, and then this one's 1, 0. So this one's going to be 2, 3, and up 1, which is 3, 1. And then we can slide that into the table. And then finally, we know this is 3, so 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, down 4. So that would be 7, -4. And slide that over to the table. And now we can make our mapping here. So I'm just going to take my x values. None of them repeated. So we're just going to write them all. And now we're going to write our ranges, and none of them repeat as well. So we're just going to write them all down. And now we're going to connect the domain to its correct range. So -9 goes with 3, -8 goes with 10, 1 goes with 0, 3 goes with 1, and 7 goes with -4. And then finally, we needed to figure out the domain and range, so I can go back and look at any of these. And I know I went from left to right on my graph, so I know these are already in order. So -9, -8, 1, 3, and 7. And then my range are not in order, so we have to make sure those are in order from least to greatest. So -4. And no more negatives, so we have 0, 1, 3, and finally 10. So be sure when you do your classwork that you are paying attention to the directions. If it asks for ordered pairs, here's what you will be writing, ordered pairs. If it asks to represent something in different forms, a table, you would draw this. If it says represented as a mapping, you would draw this. And then, of course, if it said graph, typically they'll have a graph there for you. And one thing I forgot to talk about before is when you write domain and range, these symbols right here represent a set. And if I wasn't listing my ordered pairs vertically like this, I would typically have, and you don't have to write this, but I would typically have all of these ordered pairs written like this in a set. And I'm not going to write all the other ones. You can see what happens here. But you always write ordered pairs as a set when you're listing them, and you always write your domain and range as a set. Okay, that concludes our notes on relations. I hope you have a great day.